A dog, which takes 27 to 28 breaths per minute, lives for 10 to 12 years. On the other hand, a human takes 16 to 20 breaths per minute and lives for 80 to 100 years. But a tortoise, which takes only 5 to 6 breaths per minute, lives for 500 to 600 years. This clearly shows that the fewer the number of breaths a living being takes, the longer it can live. Understanding this, our ancestors began to work on the science of reducing the number of breaths and increasing their depth, because they realized that a human being is given a fixed number of breaths to live, and by slowing down the rate of breathing, life can be extended. However, this slowing and deepening of breath should happen naturally. When we breathe, the air is directly felt in 3 to 4 places: the throat, heart, lungs, and stomach. We are not aware of the air that goes to the brain. We also rarely feel the air that goes to the ears and eyes. The air that enters the respiratory system divides into many forms and performs its functions in different areas before returning outside in a different form. All this happens so quickly that we don't even notice it. If we take a deep breath, the flow of air inside the body starts destroying bacteria, increasing the cell's ability to fight diseases. New blood starts forming in the bone marrow, accumulated waste in the intestines begins to be expelled, and the brain's alertness returns, improving memory. The activation of neurons revives the ability to think and understand, and the air filled in the lungs brings back confidence. Nowadays, most people's breaths are irregular and scattered. People do not even realize how their breaths are functioning. When feelings of anger arise, the breath changes. And similarly, when feelings of desire arise, the breath changes too. Our breath changes with each of our emotions and thoughts, as well as with our diet and lifestyle. In reality, our breath is directly related to our mental state and physical condition. The entire science of yoga is based on breathing correctly. So if we learn to breathe correctly, our life will change like magic. Today, through an ancient yogic story, we will learn about the right way to breathe and the magical mysteries of breath. A long time ago, there was a sage who used to teach his students yoga, meditation, and pranayama in his ashram. The sage himself was a yogi who had spent many years meditating in a cave in the Himalayas, where he had deeply understood many subtle human dimensions. Now, he wanted to pass on his knowledge and experience to the masses through his students. One day, after dinner, the most intelligent and promising student of the ashram came to him. Seeing the student's face, the guru understood that there were some questions in his mind. As soon as the student approached the guru, he bowed and said, "Gurudev, I want to ask you some questions." The guru smiled and said, "I know. Ask, what are your questions?" The student said, "You often say that the foundation of yoga, meditation, and pranayama is our breath, and by controlling our breath, we can also control our mind and thoughts. So today, I have come to learn in detail about the mysteries of breath and its yogic science." Hearing this, the guru gave a slight smile and then began to speak. The guru said, "As our mind is, so is the speed of our breath, or as our breath is, so will be our state of mind. Everything is connected to our breath, what happens within us and what happens outside of us. Every event in life is deeply connected to our breath. This means that by controlling the speed of our breath, we can control our mind and thoughts. If you observe a true yogi or seeker carefully, you will see an amazing calmness on their face. A true yogi can keep himself stable and calm even in the worst situations. A yogi does not suppress his emotions, but instead gains control over his breath. And by controlling his breath, he gains control over his mind. A person who has control over his mind has solutions to all his problems." Pointing to the student, the guru said, "You must have heard about some yogis who lived for 200 or 300 years. How did they manage to live for such a long time? The truth is, they had control over their breath, which is also called life energy, prana. Energy is all around us. A yogi knows very well how much of it to take in and how much to release, and they master this process to a great extent. That is why they can use this life energy according to their needs and make themselves long-lived. If you want to keep your body healthy, desire more capacity than normal, and want a sharp mind, you need to understand your breath, control it, and as soon as you do that, everything in your life will become organized. In reality, There is no such thing as fear, worry, or trouble. They are merely products of our mind and emotions. And the only thing that can control our emotions is our breath. Our inner anger, anxiety, jealousy, ego, and desire for revenge all operate according to our breath. If we have control over our breath, all these disorders are under our control. Breath acts as a bridge between our body and our mind. If we want to reach our mind and understand its disorders to eliminate them, we must walk on the bridge of our breath and reach our mind through our breath, for this is the only way to understand our mind. If you have ever seen a sleeping child, you would have noticed that when the child inhales, his stomach expands, and when he exhales, his stomach contracts. This means the child breathes from below his navel, which is the most natural and correct way of breathing. Because of his deep and long breath, a child's mind remains excited and light, and his body functions more naturally. You must have seen that a child does not hold on to anything in his mind for too long, nor does he stay angry with anyone for too long. If scolded or punished for a mistake, he soon forgets it and becomes engrossed in his play. The child can be so simple because his breathing is natural from the navel. The body needs development, and for development, more energy is needed, and for more energy, longer breaths are required. Therefore, nature has given him longer breaths. However, these long breaths have been given to every human being, but humans have made some natural changes in their lives and shortened their breaths. Instead of breathing from the stomach, they breathe from the chest. The shorter our breaths, the more we will be filled with anxiety and nonsense. The longer and deeper our breaths, the happier and more peaceful we will be. The guru continued. A person takes 14 to 15 breaths per minute. The number of breaths per minute is directly related to our mental state and our physical vibrations. If the number of breaths taken per minute drops below 10, we will begin to understand the many vibrations occurring around us, such as animal sounds becoming clearer to us. You might have heard that even ferocious animals like lions and tigers behave like tame cats in front of some yogis. This happens because these yogis have reduced their breath count and established a communication with the sounds, emotions, and vibrations of animals. If the number of breaths taken per minute drops below 9, understanding the workings of trees and plants will become easier for us. If our breaths drop below 6 per minute, understanding how inanimate objects function will become easier for us, and the world connected to inanimate objects will become clearer to us. In other words, we can understand the nature of the universe. At this stage, many yogis and sages can predict the secrets of the universe and the events that occur within it. The more stable our body is, the fewer breaths we will take. If we bring our entire body to a certain level of stability and do not take deep breaths, our awareness will continue to increase. According to the science of yoga, a practitioner can achieve many things that are beyond the ordinary human experience by controlling their breath. In the yogic tradition, it is even said that by holding one's breath for hours, a person can experience new human dimensions. Many deadly diseases, or diseases with no known cure, can be healed by controlling the mind and brain. By controlling one's breath, a person can reach a mental state where the ups and downs of life will not bother them. Some people may find all this to be a story because ordinary people do not usually do this, and anything they do not believe in is dismissed as superstition. But people who follow ancient yogic traditions claim such things. The more stable our body is, the fewer breaths we will take. If we bring our entire body to a certain level of stability and do not take deep breaths, our awareness will continue to increase. According to yoga science, a practitioner can do many things beyond the life of an ordinary person by controlling his breath. In the yogic tradition, it is also said that by holding one's breath for hours, a person can experience new human dimensions. Many diseases that could be fatal or have no cure can be healed just by controlling the mind and brain. By controlling one's breath, a person can reach such a mental state that the ups and downs of life will not bother him. Some people might find all this to be a story because, generally, people do not do this, and anything they do not believe in is dismissed as superstition. But those who follow ancient yogic traditions claim such things. One of them is Swami Rama. Swami Rama used to live in the caves of the Himalayas. he began practicing yogic disciplines from childhood. In 1970, Swami Rama went to an American research laboratory where he controlled his breath and demonstrated that he could stop his breath, brainwaves, heartbeat, and the flow of blood in his body for as long as he wanted. The doctors present in the laboratory declared Swami Rama clinically dead, yet even in this state, Swami Rama could feel everything. Seeing this, the researchers were stunned. Additionally, Swami Rama could also increase and decrease the growth of a tumor in his body at will. The research team, which initially considered all the claims of Himalayan yogis as superstition and deception, suddenly found them to be an inner science that is beyond the imagination of an ordinary person. Breathing attentively is an ancient yogic technique. When a yogi gains control over his breath, he can stop his breath whenever he wishes. According to Swami Rama, if you understand your breath, even those diseases in your body that medical science has no cure for can be healed through breath. To explain the profound mysteries of breath, Swami Rama later wrote a book with some of his companions called The Science of Breath. The Guru continued, "When breath is disturbed, the mind becomes unstable, but when the breath is calm, the mind becomes stable, and the yogi becomes long-lived. Therefore, we must learn to control our breath." The Guru looked into the student's eyes and said, "What do you think? Do you exhale as long as you inhale?" In reality, almost everyone exhales faster than they inhale, which means they take in more breath than they need to release. The ultimate purpose of a breath is to expel all the oxygen from the body and bring in new oxygen. And if you are not exhaling the old oxygen properly, this process will remain incomplete. Every breath is valuable. It must be complete. When you understand your breath, understand your body, and establish a balance between your body and breath, every problem will be solved. Now consider an example. If we have to draw water from a well and the bucket is big and deep, we will get more water. But if the bucket is small and shallow, we will get less water. Similarly, the deeper the breath, the more energy and prana will be obtained, and the more shallow the breath, the less energy will be obtained. Just as we won't get as much water from a shallow bucket, we won't get as much prana energy from shallow breaths. A true yogi learns to take deep breaths and releases his breath slowly, taking in more prana energy. The more prana energy he takes in, the healthier his body and mind will be. The Guru said, "Breath is the most important gift nature has given us, and yet many people ignore it. Our breath is like the most significant currency of our body. It is the basis of our life. If we take care of our breath, everything else will be taken care of automatically. Breathing should be like a wave, smooth and rhythmic. When we breathe deeply and slowly, we create a state of mental calmness. Deep breathing also reduces stress, improves digestion, increases blood flow to the brain, and enhances focus. Breathing is not just for living, but for making life more meaningful." The student listened attentively to every word of the Guru, realizing that he was being taught a great secret of life. The Guru said, "There is a subtle relationship between breath and the mind. Therefore, if you want to control your mind, first gain control over your breath. If you can control your breath, you can control your life. As it is said, breath is life." By practicing proper breathing, you will achieve a healthy body and a peaceful mind. And by mastering your breath, you can conquer any obstacle in life.